last year, I was in Montgomery visiting my sister, and one of my speakers, who I've grown very fond of, tricked me to come to a Bible study. Girl, I didn't have no clothes. Yeah, she was pulled up, like, come roll with me for a minute. Took me to a little storefront church. And I had on some shorts, about yay short. I had on some Daisy Dukes. And that's it. When she pulled up and saw the thing on the door, I was like, you did not bring me. Because she knew I wasn't going to come because I said I didn't have no clothes. I didn't come prepared to go anywhere. Yeah. I was relaxing. Girl, I walked in there. First person I saw was one of my cousins. She was an usher, and she hugged me. She's like, thank you for coming. I'm like, girl, I didn't even know I was coming. I was like, I am not dressed for Bible study.
Right. You was like Alabama child.
Girl.
It'd be cutthroat.
Come on.
You walking up with some hoochie mama shorts. They gonna be like, we gonna have to go.
And it was different. And my cousin walked up to me and she said, if you have a recording device, she said, record. So I hit record and left my phone laying on the... She said, you may not remember everything that's said to you. Every last one of those prophecies were an instruction, a warning, and a confirmation. Every last one of them. And I was delivered from the spirit of unforgiveness. And she called out the spirit and laid hands on me, and I was able to release it. And I left there 100 pounds lighter. Wow. And she says, you got 3 things you need to do. God told me to tell you to do. She said, you have a very high call. She says, you need to surrender. You need to prepare to walk in it. And she said, you need to do it with joy. Come on. She said, you don't want to do it. She said, the life God showed you is inside of the call. She said, you've been living. She said, but you ain't been thriving. And she said, it's because you don't want to do what God is telling you to do. She said, you don't have to be perfect. She said, you're waiting on perfection. She said, you are never going to be perfect. Whatever it is you don't want to let go of, God gonna take it anyway.
You been living, but you ain't been living.
She said, you got to thrive. Needless to say, that was my power word. Well, thrive. Thrive. And she said, the life that God has for you, that he has shown you in fullness, she says, inside of the call. She called it out. She said, you don't want to do it. And I said, I don't want titles. She said, just do what God telling you. Just do that.
225 moments where his glory shines. Yeah.
Welcome to 225 Moments with me, MNicole. Friend, I am so happy that you're here. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're always here, welcome back. And this is a space of empowerment and encouragement inspired by Joel 2:25. What God promises to restore years that the locust has eaten. And we share stories, powerful stories of God's restoration power, where he's taken us from loss to abundance. And today we have on the show one of my good sister friends, Nameica Turk-Craig. I am so happy for her to be on. She is a powerhouse by herself. She's a motivational coach, a transformational coach. And listen, she's going to get you to your other self, the self that God has for you, that in-between moment, the who you used to be versus who you want to be. She's that girl. So I'm just going to open it up for Nameica. Tell us all about you. I know you got a lot going on, but I appreciate you jumping on the podcast to be with me. And listen, helping the girls affirm themselves.
Yes,
That's your
yes,
brand.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I call you Mo.
Yes.
Bruni.
Yes. Yes.
It is a pleasure to be here. I'm happy to be here just to converse with you. Yes, Girl Affirm Yourself.
So tell us about how Girl Affirm Yourself even started. Tell us about how you even got into this whole transformation, motivational empowerment coach. Because listen, I remember the days where I used to have these vision board parties. You was there. You, Kanisha, we was eating chicken wings and pacing stuff about 15 years ago. We've been at this thing a long time. It's such a pleasure to see you in this place, sister.
Girl Affirm Yourself. That was my first self-published book in 2018.
Yes.
And I took the book and turned it into a movement.
Yes.
And in the beginning, I didn't really know where God wanted me to go with this thing. Like, I knew, Girl Affirm Yourself. It's about seeing yourself. Let me help you understand who God says you are. You need to get this because it's in the Word. You know, everything for me is about Word. It's about what God says. So when I started Girl Affirm Yourself, it started about just building confidence, helping you to see yourself through God's eyes and to stop self-sabotaging, because that is a thing. Like, we can self-sabotage to the point where we blame God. Like, God, why is this happening to me? And you questioning. No, really, is you don't know how to apply God's word to your life. So that's how Girl Affirm Yourself started. Then I started working with fatherless daughter women and girls. And I added that division. And then God said, I want you to help women really know who I am and the power of seeing a life of abundance through my word.
That's good. Now the fatherless piece, you call that, is it DADY, daddy?
Daddy.
It's with one D, right?
Mm-hmm. Defining and developing you.
That's good.
Now,
That's
there's a
good.
story behind that.
Listen, I want to hear it all. I want to hear it all. But take me from the chicken wings and the nice little magazine cutouts we was doing 15, 16 years ago. Take me from that point, because then you was working a 9-to-5 and you was starting to get into this coaching.
Yes.
So tell me, what was the calling like, and how was that transition?
Before all of that, I was modeling. Okay. When we met, I was a full plus size, is what they call it, a full figure model, and I loved it. Yeah. And I have this signature talk called From Runway to Purpose.
Okay.
And it was God showing me, restoring a confidence that I lost. You know, I grew up very confident, 2-parent home. My father really spoke life into me. And I lost my hair when I was 10 years old from the overprocessing of a perm. And I remember my first sign of knowing that God is there was when my dad spoke to me. And I went to school. I switched schools. I left one school to go to another, not knowing that one's going to be worse. Because I didn't have no hair. I had a little boy cut, bald spots, all of that. And my dad said, listen, I came home crying one day, and he said, you go to school and you walk with your head high. And he said, you go in that school like you the most beautiful girl in the world. He said, because you are. And from that day forward, that did something to me. I never cared about what anybody said. And as life progressed, I lost that confidence again, going through divorce and just life situations.
Yeah.
And life kind of was beating me down. And a woman approached me shopping for Christmas, VD's Designs. And she says, would you like to be in a fashion show? And I said, me? Be in a fashion show? Yeah, I love fashion.
Right.
But little did I know that was going to take me like on a whole nother journey. Walking those stages just gave me a, about myself. It was already in there, though.
Right.
It just needed to be pulled out. So we always need somebody to pull out what is already there.
Right.
And that's what I am, kind of like an activator. I have the ability to see the potential in people, to discern who God has called them to be, even when they do not know it. So the book, the coaching, coming from the vision board, let's get there.
Yeah.
The vision boards, you ignited that.
Yeah.
I knew about vision boards,
yeah,
but coming to see it in reality being done and being able to check off things, then God took it to another level.
Come on.
I was sitting on my couch one day, and I just told this story on the boat yesterday with the sisterhood. Yeah. And I've told it to my audience many times, but I'm going to tell you today. I was getting advice from a millionaire. He was a business millionaire. And he discouraged me. I was sitting on my couch one day, and God gave me the full-blown plan for my vision board workshop. And this was just not, he said, this is not just putting pictures on the board. He said, this is showing the power of manifestation through the word. And I put a full workshop in my phone notes, just sitting on my couch, but I didn't know how to execute it. And I called him, and he told me to cancel it because nobody was going to show up. He said nobody. He looked at my social media and saw that I didn't have a huge following. And he said, nobody knows who you are. Nobody's going to pay to come to your workshop. It discouraged me. I canceled the tour. I was scheduling a 7-city tour. That's the vision God gave me. And I went to the Epic Center on the day that my first workshop was supposed to be. And Jackie Fleming from here in Atlanta.
I remember Jackie.
She's one of my spiritual mentors.
Sisters, yeah.
And she was a keynote speaker, and everything about her keynote spoke to me. And I left out of there with like a load had lifted off of me, and I rescheduled the tour. My first stop was in Birmingham, Alabama. I'm an Alabama girl, too.
I'm an Alabama girl. Come on, Alabama girl.
I'm from the sticks,
Yes.
Wilcox County. Whoop, whoop, 66.
Yes, I'm from Mobile,
Yes,
baby.
number 2.
Yes.
Yes. And I rescheduled the tour, went to Birmingham, Alabama. It was the year that we had the big snowstorm.
Okay.
It was snowing all across
Snow
the...
apocalypse.
Yes, the snow apocalypse around the South.
Yes.
Every state in the South was snowed in.
Yeah.
Do you know people traveled from Atlanta, Montgomery, everywhere, different places
To support you.
to support? They showed up. I didn't even know. People were seeing it on Eventbrite, showing up at the door.
Wow.
Showing up and paying at the door.
Wow.
That set the tone for the rest of the tour. And I have gone on to have 3 sold out tours over the years, preparing for another one right now. And that particular workshop has gone on for 10 years. My 10-year anniversary will be in January.
Come on, guys.
2026.
Yes. Yes. So that is so good. So here's this millionaire, right?
Mm-hmm.
He sits there and he tells you to cancel it.
Yeah.
That is not going to work, right? You know, it's such a thing. And I say this with my chest. I say this with my big chest.
Yeah. Say it with
My chest.
Right.
It's such a thing of being excellent at business, but failing in spiritual. The spiritual side of the house, oh my God. If people can only tap into their spiritual life and they already top on the business, if you marry them too,
Because they're a power couple.
listen, that is the formula. It is. I've seen this so much where you'll find these business coaches. I'm talking about they got money. They're very good at strategy, all the things. But if you're not good at spirit, that don't matter.
It don't matter at all.
It don't matter. You're giving the business side of the house that you have excelled in has all to do with your intelligence as a being. But the spiritual being, that take a different type of connection. You know, it's like the thought process of believing. And I just told this story. It's so crazy. I was at a conference, and this conference was amazing. And a lady that was at the conference that was serving dinner, we had dinner like the night before, like a whole VIP experience. And she said, "Oh, hey, how did you like the dinner last night?" I said, "It was great. I enjoyed it, you know." And she said, "Oh, what do you do?" I said, "I'm a manifestation coach. I teach purpose-driven women how to manifest their dreams and stay in their joy bag." You know, and I said, the more joy you have, the more you get to live life out. And I do this through divine strategies and God's blueprint for your life. And she said to me, "I don't see the world in that way." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, how do you see the world?" And she said, "Well, I've always seen the world through pain." See the disconnect. It keeps you from the greater. I said to her, what if I asked you, okay, you got these blessings you've experienced in your life. How do you recreate those blessings? That's my number one question I ask when people don't know what a manifestation coach is. I can't even get it out. I always say, how do you redo that?
First, let me say what I'm grateful for is being introduced. Because I grew up in church. I know the Lord.
Yes.
But there's a difference in having a relationship with Jesus. When you have a relationship, that relationship opens doors and avenues for you to connect. Remember, I said the difference between attachment and connection.
Yes.
I was introduced through a program called 29 Days to Fabulous when I was in my late 20s by Dr. Johnson here in Atlanta. And she took me through her personal development program. And it wasn't until years later, maybe 2 years ago, that I realized why I even love the word fabulous. I had forgotten it, but it was still in my subconscious mind. See, people have to be introduced to what they don't know.
Oh, that's so true.
So if I would have never been introduced to personal development by way of God and spirituality and the word, I would have never known to put God first in my business.
Yeah.
And a lot of people can't see the world that way because they think business is just a strategy. Business is just making money. Business is ministry.
You're right about that.
Entrepreneurship is a calling.
Yes, it is.
You have to be called into this because you are dealing with who? People.
Yeah.
So people just want to get into entrepreneurship. Oh, I want to be my free time and I want to work on my own time. And I want to, no, you actually work more.
Yeah.
You're responsible for more than just going to a 9-to-5 and following someone else's rules. It's bigger than you because you are touching souls. You are serving people. You are enhancing lives. You are responsible for the end result of somebody's experience with God through you.
That's good.
So the reason people like that can't see the bigger picture is because they haven't opened their mindset.
That's true.
They have not been open to get into different circles and communicate with different people. So you can allow someone else to say, hey, have you ever heard of, and introduce you to something new. A lot of people are closed-minded and they don't want to be introduced to anything new.
Yeah.
So that person will probably see the world the same forever. And we know we live in an ever-evolving world. Like, the world is just going to keep changing, but the word of God does not.
Oh, it stayed the same.
So that's how we stay. That's how we continue to prosper.
Yeah.
We're not worried about the economy.
Yeah, you're right.
God says that in time of famine, we'll have plenty.
Come on.
If you believe that.
Yeah.
If you don't believe that,
then
you won't have that.
Exactly.
So how everybody can ask questions. How you make it? How you doing it? The grocery's so high, girl. God. God, the grocery's high, but I ain't complaining.
Exactly. So here you are. You went through. Your dad instilled in you. You had nice pivotal moments, right? So walk me through where you were mentally at the Chicken Wing Vision Board party. Where were you there? Because you had some seeds along the way, right? Yeah. Because I'm telling you, it had to be months after that party, maybe the next year, you was completely on your own doing your soul entrepreneur journey. So I'm interested. I'm vested.
That was a journey itself, girl, because I actually went back into corporate. And what happened, I was laid off.
Okay.
And that was my season. That was God saying, now.
I remember that.
You remember that?
Yeah.
2014.
Yeah.
And I worked for one of the largest healthcare companies for 14 years. And I went through a layoff. And I drew down my severance, started my business. It was booming, everything. And then you know that plateau comes.
Mm-hmm.
And things started getting rough. And my husband was looking at me like, you got to get a job.
You got to do something.
Yeah. You got to go back to work. And I went back to work miserable.
Yeah.
Every year that I worked, I was miserable.
Wow.
And the little money from the job was coming in, but I was unfulfilled. And a lot of the saints ain't gonna like what I'm about to say.
Don't upset the saints.
The saints ain't gonna like what I'm about to say.
It's free form.
But I went into a mental breakdown. 2023. Okay. So I worked all the way up.
I worked 23.
I worked again all the way up. Still doing parallelpreneur, running my business, coaching, changing lives, speaking all over the world.
Yeah.
But I was miserable working that job.
Yeah.
And I was only working it because my husband wanted me to work it. And I told God, I'm going to leave the husband and the job.
You were like, God, you know what? Since you and him can't get along, I'm on your side. Because that's the real connect. That's the real blood.
And I did.
Look at that.
I did. I left the husband and the job. When I came off mental health leave of absence, I went on a leave of absence. Yeah. And he saw how it was stressing me out. He even, God touched his heart and he said, I really see that, you do need to come off that job. He still wasn't agree with me coming off the job. Like, he just want me to work a job.
So let's pause a little bit. Because the average person that will be looking at this, they'll say, How he gonna tell her to go to work? What kind of man was that? So walk me through, like, because from the time that you stopped and went back to work, and then you just stopped. I'm not gonna say just, but a few years. That's not too long ago. A light bulb didn't flip on that he just might not be in alignment with. Okay, so walk me through the thoughts of that, because somebody need to hear that journey.
Yeah. So the part of the journey that I want them to hear is when you know that you're in a position where you're unequally yoked. You know that person doesn't know God like you do. So my husband, a great guy. He's a great man. But because he doesn't know God the way that I do, he couldn't understand that God was calling me away from that.
Yeah.
That when in 2014, my time was up. So if you don't have the spousal support that you need in entrepreneurship, it makes a big difference.
Yes, it do.
So I was being wife, I was being mom, I was being entrepreneur, I was being all the things, wearing all the hats, but the job was draining me. And so, you want to be in alignment, and you have to, because man is still the head. Husband is still the head of the household. So if he makes a wrong decision, that decision costs everybody. So what I did is I went to God and I said, okay, God, I'm stressed out. I'm not prospering in my soul. If I have to leave, I'm going to leave both, the job and the man and the husband. And I did
it's
separate.
Gonna be a combo.
And when I separated, God opened the door, and I received a phone call about a month later that offered me a contract. The contract that I do now is a copywriter. I'm a copywriter.
Nice. Nice.
And God opened the door, and it allowed my husband to see, okay, so this is how God works. Yeah. So, being able to see the error in his own ways, and then knowing how to support me. Sometimes the fairy tale doesn't work like the way you want it to work.
That's right.
Because when God is in it, God is love is action. So we move through action, and sometimes people have to see what God is doing.
That's true.
You can't just tell them.
Yeah. That's a good point, because when you think about the blessings you ask God for, sometimes we get in our heads and we believe that the blessings are like this spooky dooky, God is going to come and touch you and it's just going to magically show up at your door.
No,
seriously, like it's going to magically show up at your door, right?
No.
But God delivers his blessings through people, right? It's like, okay, you ask for that, and then boom, here you go. You meet this person, they give you a connection, and then the connection leads to something else, and it leads to something else.
Yeah.
But that's why you have to be open, and your faith have to be on steroids. You know, like you gotta have some crazy faith. I look at any time that I have had some amazing breakthroughs in my life, it was because my faith was amazing. I'm telling you, you ain't gotta go and look at something online to inspire you to know how real God is. Go look back at your life.
Let me tell you my first experience with faith. Now, my father taught me faith. I understood faith. But, when we become young adults, which me as an empty nester mom now teaching my children, we have to learn on our own. We have to know God for ourselves. And I remember my first car that I purchased on my own, my dad was dragging his feet. I was a young mom, 21, 22 years old, got tired of carpooling and all of that to work in Montgomery. And I went and stopped at the dealership and got me a brand new car. I drove it home. And I had just started working maybe about 1 or 2 months before that. So now I understand my dad was trying to take me through a process. Like, just wait, you're going to get the car. But I went and got the car on my own. First car note was coming up.
You need some crazy faith to pay that note.
I was sitting in the car one day, and I looked in the rearview mirror. Now, this is my faith, beginning of my faith journey. Yeah. And I looked in the rearview mirror. And I said, God, I don't know how you're going to do it, but I know you're going to do it. And I don't even know to the day where that car note money came from yet, but it did. And I never was late or anything on that car. And that stuck with me to this very day. And when I'm going through any hard time, because see, my faith, I'm a faith walker. I have faith that anything I see in my vision, I believe it is possible. And I believe it for other people. Like, I will talk you into believing that whatever you have in your mind, you can do it.
Yes.
Like, there is no, you are the interruption.
That's right.
But ever since that day, if I am going through something that's testing my faith, I go sit in my car and I look in the rearview mirror. And my kids joke with me, my husband, everybody, why is your mirror always turned this way? It's not just me looking at myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm looking and reflecting back to that day where God really came through for me in my 20s. And I look in the rearview mirror and I be like, God, I don't know how you're going to work this out, but I believe you're going to do it.
That's good.
So you got to have unshakable faith, the type of faith that says, I know the God I serve.
Come on.
I speak to visionary women. Women that I'm called to are visionary women like me and you. And these women have high calls on their lives.
That's right.
And they go through a lot of spiritual warfare. And they think that they are cursed or they think that they're doomed. No, you're just not walking in alignment.
Right.
You see the vision and God has already shown you the expected end. But because you haven't made it there yet, you have to walk strategically by faith. Every journey that I've traveled has been a faith journey. I do not operate off of the world system.
That's good. That's good.
I don't.
So let's go back. So the husband you left, the job you left, contract came through, and that was completely God, right? The husband saw, oh my God, there go God. She said it. It happened, right? How did the marriage jump back? Like, you missed that part. Tell us about what was the, you know what? Because that is going to help somebody.
Yeah. The separation allowed God to deal with him. The separation allowed God to deal with him in a space. Because sometimes you have to be in a space where you're alone, where God can speak to you and everything else, all the distractions are not there. Because, you know, we done been through relationships and marriages and all this stuff. And it is not until that person is not in your personal space
That's true.
that you can reflect on yourself. And so if you are a person that's going to do self-reflection, then you're going to say, where did I go wrong? What do I need to do if I want to be with this person? What do I need to change? You take your eyes off of them and you go into, what do I need to do?
You go into self mode.
Yeah, self mode. Oh, okay. So I hindered her from all these years. What could I have done differently? Yeah. So, and that's on both ends.
Yeah. So then you guys worked through that trauma, and then you've been on this path since, and deep into your coaching. Talk about the coaching programs and how, even down to how you feel your support is now, because it's got to be good now, because we know it.
Yeah.
Yeah. The man
I don't have no
Listen,
problem.
I had to leave you for a minute now.
Yeah, I don't have those kind of problems.
We had to leave for a minute, but we back. We back, you know.
So the coaching, so my programs are based on Christ. If you find Christ and you follow Christ, this is my outline. This is my curriculum.
Yeah.
It's spiritual growth, personal development, then. Because I believe you have to build the person before the professional. That's just my belief.
Absolutely.
And spiritual growth first. So it's Christ. Once you find your identity in Christ, then you build, you have clarity. Once you have clarity on the vision God has given you, you build the confidence. You have that and to say that I can do anything. And then with confidence comes the building of character. Character. Yeah. We need character to work with people. Yeah. And that attracts currency into your life.
That's good.
And then I go into teaching on the several types of currency, which one is spiritual. Spiritual currency. Relationship currency.
Yeah.
Everybody equates currency to money. That's just part of it.
That's good.
Anything that we exchange with each other is currency. This is currency.
This is currency.
This is currency.
It's rich too.
It's rich. It's exchange. It's an exchange.
It's loaded. Okay.
It's an exchange.
It's loaded. It's good. And so when you had the tugging to push people and to give them this empowerment person of coaching. Let me touch you. Let me push you, because you push a lot of women.
Yeah.
What was it that said God has called me to women? Like I would love to know, like, what made you say, you know what, God has called me to help women? What is that?
It started on that stage because even though I worked around many women who were on the stage, I could see the lack of confidence in some of them. And then I could actually see myself in the women, like on social media, someone's face would flash across the screen and I could see divorce. And then maybe 2 or 3 months later, that woman would message me and ask me questions. Or it would be the girls, the mentors, the girls that need mentorship. And they would, I feel, this way, or how would you handle this? Or it was always someone coming in the inbox, or it could be me walking down the street or sitting in a restaurant. And women would come over to me and say, "You're so beautiful," and strike a conversation, and it goes into something deeper. And that's when I really started to realize, okay, God, this is what you want me to do.
Right.
And I didn't know that it was ministry at all.
Yeah.
Coming from where I'm from, you think ministry is just the pulpit.
Church. Yeah. Social media, my pulpit.
Yeah.
Like, I get on there and be like, let it rip.
Yeah.
Because God needs to reach somebody. It ain't always through the church either.
It's not. God said to me, beyond the 4 walls of the church, you may never see me in the pulpit. You may, but that's not where I'm called to.
Right.
I'm called out in the world where these women are.
Right.
Whether that be social media,
or they bleeding.
conferences.
Yeah.
Whether that be walking down here in the hallway and bumping into someone.
Yeah.
Whether that be whatever the case scenario is, it goes beyond the church. And here's something. I went to a women's conference, and one of the guest ministers said, she asked everybody who was saved to raise their hands, and everybody raised their hands. I remember at one of my first brunches, a very prominent woman in the empowerment realm pulled me into her office to meet with her, to chastise me. And she chastised me for playing gospel and secular music in the same environment in my brunch. And I had to let her know that I don't only work with Christian women. Yes, I am a Christian woman. God called you to work with Christian women. I work with women.
Right.
And I open my doors to women of every belief, every religion, whatever their practice is, because I have an evangelistic calling. So how can I win souls if everybody in the room is already saved?
Right.
How can I minister to women and win them over? Maybe, and what I found is most of the women who enter my rooms, a majority of them grew up in church, but they left.
Come on.
Because
church hurt.
Church hurt.
Woo!
And I've had women to stand up who believe in the crystals and the stars and the moons and all the spirituality, and I'm not knocking it because that's only what they understand right now.
Right.
But if I can show them the power of God, which I have seen miraculously work. Mo, when I tell you I ran from this thing.
Oh, no. You listen. You couldn't have ran faster than me. I ran around Atlanta 285 about 400 or 500 times, okay? I was like, no, that ain't what we doing, guys. No, we ain't doing that. You know my biggest thing about why I ran? I kept saying, God, I don't want to carry people's stuff. That's what I said, because, and I ain't say it like that. I said it in a hood way.
Yeah.
I said, I don't want to carry folks' stuff. Right? Because what people do is with coaches, they want to load the coaches with their burdens and walk away. No, you got to do the work over here. And that was the primary reason I ran. Now, in the midst of me running, that was in my head the whole time on 285, right? I'm just running. And one day, I think I said it out loud. I was like, this is hilarious. Like, okay, God, I hear you, but I just don't want to carry people's stuff. And I felt like God was giving me humor. And he said, you know you control that, right? Like, Like what you saying is really you in your own way from changing people. And I said, you're right. I control that. So the women I coach, these ain't no toddlers. They ain't in elementary. They ain't even in high school. They have come to a point where they know that life is bigger than this.
Yes.
They're purpose driven.
Yes.
Something is bigger than that, because the same way you have your formula, my formula is similar but not the same. But the point I'm making is I teach on being aligned spiritually and to your purpose, and everything else falls underneath. Everything else you need is underneath that. That's the cars, that's the Lambos, that's the boats, that's the yachts, that's the whatever you want to roll in. You want to stunt like your daddy? Do it.
Do it. But start here.
Start here. And start here on top. You can't have none of that on the bottom if you don't have him on top.
I just preached that sermon to my son on the way here. My son just landed his first full-time job since graduating college 2 years ago.
Nice.
And I left him a voice recording on the way here because I was so busy this weekend. I didn't have time to really let him know how proud of him that I am. Since I haven't seen him since he accepted the position in person. And I said, if you follow this rule, seek ye first the kingdom of God.
Yes.
And his righteousness.
Yes.
Everything else will be added to your life.
All things.
And that means all things. Whatever your heart desire, whatever that means for you, whatever all things, good health. If you want to eat good every day, have that balance, but keep the kingdom in mind at all times. So you are exactly right. But you know what my run was? Let me tell you this one.
Tell me about
titles. I didn't want no title.
You didn't want the title.
Don't give me no title.
Oh,
just
come
don't.
on, evangelist. Come on. There you go.
Don't give me the title. I
we bring to the stage Evangelist Turks. Y'all give it up.
See, there you go.
Prophetess.
There you go.
I've been told I'm a prophetess so many times, but I tell you, those are the terms that people attach to. But for me, listen, I'm just God's vessel.
Yes, that's it.
I'm whatever he want me to be.
That's it.
And I literally live that in my program, where if you need a business coach, I got you. If you need a resume done, I got you. I don't look at it like, oh, what you got to do to no. God's vessel is just that. It ain't watered down. Who said that? All this titles and stuff. I hear you.
I don't want it.
I
don't want the title. Last year, I was in Montgomery visiting my sister, and one of my speakers, who I've grown very fond of, tricked me to come to a Bible study. Girl, I didn't have no clothes. Yeah, she was just pulled up, like, come roll with me for a minute. And took me to a little storefront. Church. And I had on some shorts, about yay short. I had on some Daisy Dukes, girl.
People talking about you.
And I said, when I pulled up and saw the thing on the door, I was like, you did not bring me. Because she knew I wasn't going to come because I said I didn't have no clothes. I didn't come prepared to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I was relaxing. Girl, I walked in there. First person I saw was one of my cousins. She was an usher. And she hugged me. She's like, thank you for coming. I'm like, girl, I didn't even know I was coming. I was like, I am not dressed for Bible study.
Right. And
She's
like, Alabama child.
Girl.
They be cutthroat.
Come on
You
now.
walking up with some hoochie mama shorts. They going to be like, we going to have to go. I'm
and
sorry.
It was different.
They'll put a little handkerchief on
they
your
did
leg.
that.
They put you a little prayer cloth on your leg.
Listen what they did, honey. Listen, look like my bow coming out paw here.
Look, put it on your leg.
Yeah. Y'all, this real. I'm going to tie this on back up while I'm talking. But I got in there and I said, okay, God, I'm in here. Let me just see what this is about.
Yeah.
And the word was good. The message was good.
It was for you.
Then.
Was it for you or was it just good?
No, I'm going to tell you what was for me.
Okay.
They came up to me, you know, when they do the prayer and the altar call and all of that. I didn't go up. I just kind of prayed at my seat.
Yeah.
And when I looked up, the minister was standing over me, and she says, would you mind if I speak a word of encouragement over you. And I prayed real quick, I was like, Lord, close my ears down. I don't want to hear no false prophecies, anything that's not like,
You thought she was going to
Yeah.
prophet you in the parking lot, maybe.
Yeah, something. So I gave her permission, and she said, asked me to come to the front.
Yeah.
So I went to the front, and she said, you can have a seat right here on the first little pew. And when I looked up, it was about 13, 14 people surrounded me. I had never experienced. I was like, oh, Lord, what they going to do, sacrifice me? I was like, what's going on?
Right. You know how they do. They're sacrificing you, though.
And they prophesied. And my cousin walked up to me, and she said, if you have a recording device, she said, record. So I hit record and left my phone laying she said, because you may not remember, and I'm going to speed up. She said, you may not remember everything that's said to you. And every last one of those prophecies were an instruction, a warning, and a confirmation.
Wow.
Every last one of them.
Wow.
And I was delivered from the spirit of unforgiveness.
Ooh.
And she called out the spirit and laid hands on me, and I was able to release it. And I left there 100 pounds lighter.
Wow.
And she says, you got 3 things you need to do. God told me to tell you to do. She said, you have a very high call. She says, you need to surrender. She says, you need to prepare to walk in it. And she said, you need to do it with joy.
Come on.
She said, you don't want to do it.
Come on.
She said, but the life God showed you is inside of the call.
Come on.
She said, you've been living. She said, but you ain't been thriving. And she said, it's because you don't want to do what God is telling you to do. She said, you don't have to be perfect. She said, you're waiting on perfection. She said, you are never going to be perfect. Whatever it is you don't want to let go of, God going to take it anyway.
Wow.
Girl.
You've been living, but you ain't been living.
She said, you got to thrive. And needless to say, that was my power word.
Wow.
Thrive.
Thrive.
She said, the life that God has for you, that he has shown you in fullness, she says, inside of the call. And she said, she called it out. She said, you don't want to do it. And I said, I don't want titles. She said, just do what God telling you to do.
Just do that. Yeah.
Just do that.
Yeah. Don't worry about the title.
And I was like, well, I'm already doing it. I talk about God. She said, no.
No.
I knew what
it's
she
time
meant.
to go deeper.
I knew what she
It's time to go deeper. So then you went from that to just completely with the Girl Affirm Yourself. That was was that the first coaching brand?
So Girl Affirm Herself is my sisterhood. My sisterhood is an empowerment movement. Yeah. It's a sister circle, social club. Okay. My coaching is under Nameica Speaks, and that is Confident Woman Era. Okay. The Confident Woman Era cohort is a 12-month program that I take visionary women through to tap into their power, their personal power to win and excel in life. And that is shedding off all of the self-sabotaging habits that they have, starting with daddy issues. That's a big one. Okay. Women of all ages, and I'll tell you how I got into that. God revealed it through my daughter. My daughter, who's now 21. My ex-husband is my children's father, and when I divorced him, he divorced the children. And they suffered immensely due to daddy issues. And my daughter changed. She went from a straight A student. She may have been about 13, 14 then. And I couldn't understand what was happening. And I was sitting in my garage. And at this time, this transparent, I was sitting in my garage smoking a Black and Mild.
You were like, put something in the Black and Mild, child, because we need all the things. I know.
I was sitting in my garage smoking a Black and Mild.
Okay.
And this gonna hurt the saints. The Holy Spirit spoke to me.
Why you had the Black and Mild in your head?
Yeah, why I had the Black and Mild. Okay.
These saints gonna put you out the church.
They're gonna put me out, ain't it? Put me out, because I'm gonna tell the truth and shame the devil.
Did you have something in the cup? Did you have something in
I
the
ain't
red
had
cup?
nothing in the cup, girl. No, I ain't had
they
no cup.
really gonna put you out. You said you had a red cup.
I ain't had no red cup.
Okay.
And I heard fatherless daughter syndrome. And I looked around and I was like, well, what is that? And I started Googling and searching and YouTubing. And I came across Angela Carr-Patterson. And she's the founder of the Fatherless Daughter Network. And I contacted her, enrolled in her program, and became a certified fatherless daughter advocate. Nice. But during the enrollment process, God revealed to me that I had some daddy issues.
Come on.
My father was a great man. But in some areas, there were some scars. Yeah. And so during that process of me overcoming, realizing that this is why I make certain type of decisions. This is why I can't, do this or that. And it wasn't just about my daughter. It was about every woman who deals with daddy issues and don't know that it is a real thing. That this is why you can't stay in healthy relationships. This is why you have money issues. This is why your mind plays tricks on you. This is why your confidence is low. I've been through all those stages.
Now, there's a thing spiritually that what you don't deal with,
your child will.
Your children will deal with, right? So here you go trying to have that knowledge for your baby. God said, really, it started with you.
It started with me.
Come on. That's powerful.
And the father, because the word says the sins of the father will fall on the seed.
Come on.
So
that's good.
Me going through the program thinking I'm going to just help my daughter, not knowing God want me to help all these other women too, adding that service to my program. But I got delivered from that because I didn't even know, like many women.
So the part about the daddy program, right, is that just for like adult women or is it for kids too? Like young girls?
Daddy movement is for mentorship program, ages girls 10 to 18.
Okay, good.
So that is a mentorship program. The women in my organization or those who go through the Confident Woman Era cohort, we work through those issues in the cohort.
With the girls?
No, with the women. That's for the women.
Okay. So who mentors the young girls?
We have women, other certified advocates, and then we have mentors.
Okay, good. I don't go that low. I can't do 10.
Well, this is not coaching. That's just mentorship. We spend time with these girls. We go through the process of healing and emotional intelligence and teaching them community service.
That's good.
And arts and crafts and, all the things that they enjoy. But at the same time, they are seeing how to build their confidence and not rely on the validation that they didn't get from their dads.
So your daughter's 21. Where does she fall in this? Because it's a few little buckets. So what
she
falls?
helps with everything.
But what about her participation? Because her growth, like where is her age group at?
Oh, her age group? I haven't gotten to her age group.
Really?
And I would say because she just turned 21 last month.
I know. Now, listen, the mentorship for the young girls is absolutely amazing. I love that because the young girls need love too. But my sweet spot went from 19 to 30. Really to 29, 19 to 29. Because the rest of the women, they could join the real manifestation circle for that. But there's such a tugging and calling in there too because think about your daughter. Don't you find moments where you just like, girl, what you got going on?
Yeah.
And you have to and it's funny because one of the ladies in Manifestation Circle was doing that with her daughter. And she called me up and she said, hey, you ever thought about doing a Mrs. chapter for the young girls? Because I'm always doing this with my kids. And I said, I don't know if I had a time, but let me pray on that. And then I started thinking about my daughter. I'm constantly mentoring her friends. And I said, we got to say yeah.
Now, sis, I'm going to tell you how this about to work because my husband just asked me yesterday. I told you we went on the boating experience. And he asked me twice, was my daughter going? And I said, and I thought about bringing her on.
Yeah.
But I said, no, this is the
big girl.
Yeah, this is the big girl. This is the aunties outside.
Right.
This is the aunties outside
aunties.
moment.
Yes.
We need to get away from all that.
Yeah.
And he asked again yesterday evening, and he said, I wish you would have taken Persia with you.
See?
And then now you're asking me, what do I have for that age?
You got to have
because
something.
There's a gap. There is a gap. She's not the little girl anymore.
No.
She's not the 14-year-old that I recognized the issue there.
Right.
She's the 21-year-old.
Yep.
And there are many of her out there.
That's right. And I'm sure you sit down with her friends. I'm sure you listen. My daughter 26, and she will get her friends on the phone, and they be want to have a whole little coaching set. Mama, what you say to her? What you think? And so I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I should do that. So I started the Mrs. Chapter this year. It's been good. It's good to hear young minds. I can imagine what life would have been like had I had this at 19.
That's true.
I was operating in bits and pieces of it. But be full out on speed, on just cruise control, living intentional and speeding through life, I could probably been 10 times further.
That's true.
Seriously. So think about that Mrs. Chapter.
I'm gonna consider it.
That might be in the cards.
I'm gonna consider it. I don't take anything by happenstance.
Yes, that's good. That's good. So I wanna ask about a lot with your brand. It's around, just reaffirming yourself, your confidence, all the things. What happens, or what would you say to the person that is in between delay and denial? Like, is it delay or is it denial? Like, how would you tell them to understand that this is what it is versus this is what it is?
Oh, delay or denial? I don't personally believe in a lot of denial, but if there is denial, it's for a reason. So delay, as we know, is just part of the process. And a lot of times it gets so heavy because as visionary women, we can see the expected end. So when it's not coming as fast as we want it to, we have to stay in a posture of enjoying the journey. We have to stay in a posture of knowing that if God has called you to this and you know this is what you're supposed to be doing, you have to look at the season you're in. Knowing the season that you're in is very important because it may not be time. You can't look at the person's life who's been doing this for 15 years and you've only been doing it for 5. And you think that you can be
or
where
2.
they are or 2.
Yeah.
And you think that you should have everything that they have or you should be flourishing the way that they are. No, everybody's journey is different. And that the journey to being processed is knowing the season that you're in. Because if you know that I'm in a season of pruning right now, then you need to work with being pruned. You need to be connected with people who can help you through the pruning process. Because if you're in a cocoon process, you're really feeling smothered and delayed and denied. But delay is not always denial. And if denial does come and you have sought God and you know that God is saying, no, this is not it, don't be afraid to start over. Don't be afraid to start over. Right. It doesn't mean that what you see at the end is not going to be that result. It just means you're taking a detour. Right. It just means that you have to start, and I won't even say start over, start anew.
Yeah.
Start anew.
Because you're not starting completely over.
You're not starting completely over.
Yeah, that's good.
Start anew.
Yes.
If you have to.
So what would you say to the woman that want to remain faithful and they're going through this process? Like, what if a woman was also called and she know, and you've had moments that were pivotal where people, spoke prophecies into you. But what if this is a woman that wake up every morning and feel like her life has a higher calling and she's running too, right? But yet she's faithful that God is going to take her through this process and she'll be her higher self. But the faithful part sometimes is weary because she's still running. Like, what would you say to that person? What encouragement would you give that person?
Stop running. I would give them the encouragement to seek out mentorship. Mentorship is very important.
Yes, it is.
We need mentorship on every side. If you're a wife, you need wives of wisdom. If you are expecting to be a wife, you need wives who can teach you how to be a wife before you actually become one, before you get the ring. If you want to be a businesswoman, if you know that entrepreneurship is your calling, you need to connect with someone who has traveled the journey that you've already traveled. That person is going to help you eliminate a million mistakes and mishaps. That person is going to help you travel the journey if you are teachable. You have to have a teachable spirit. Don't think that you know it all just because God has given you the vision. Be teachable. So I would say seek mentorship and stop running. If you're going to run to anything, run to get some help. Vulnerability is strength. Do not think for a moment because you're asking for help. And don't stop at no. Do you know when I first started this journey, I reached out to people I admired. I would inbox people asking different questions and they would not answer or help, or they wanted to charge or whatever the thing was. I didn't stop. I kept going until I ran into the right people. And do you know how you get there? You have to pray.
That's good.
You ask God. God, send me my destiny helpers.
Were there ever any moments where you felt stuck? And what would you say to the woman that feels stuck? Like, she not running, but she don't really know what to do. Like, do I go right? Do I go left? But she still trusts that she's on a journey. She just don't know what that is necessarily because she's so stuck.
Yes, I've been stuck in seasons. I've been stuck in seasons. There were times I felt very stuck, lost, confused, like I know God told me to do this. This is why it's not working the way it's supposed to. Or there has been this season where I was just stuck like, what's next? What now? I did that. What's next? I would say pause. I would say sometimes you need to pause. You don't always have to be on go. If you don't know what it is that you need to be doing right now in this season and you feel stuck, like something is not moving, there's no movement, there's no progress, or you're just still, it might be a season for you to be still. And again, seek wise counsel. Because if you're in a stuck season, that means you need something or someone that can help pull you, that can help lift you, that can help say, well, I see, because another person may be able to see where
you can't see,
what you cannot see.
That's good. What would you give in reference to nuggets for someone that's in the waiting room of their life? Like, not stuck, but they feel like they're waiting. Because, waiting is such a cliche spiritually. People say all the time, I'm waiting on God. I'm just going to wait on God. And they're in the waiting room, right? Waiting for that next. What would you say to her? Because wouldn't that message be a little different?
Yeah, it's different.
What would you say to her?
If she is waiting on God, sometimes God is waiting on you.
Yeah.
It's not all the time we sitting in the waiting room because, a lot of faith walkers like to say, be still and know, or trust God. But do you trust that when you make a movement, then God can move on your behalf? Because faith without works is dead.
That's right.
So if you are feeling like you are waiting on God and nothing is moving, nothing is happening, and your faith is getting shaky, that means you need to make some movement. Get in motion. Do something.
That's good.
Even if it fails, that doesn't make you a failure. That means I know what doesn't work. So sometimes, and I see and hear in a lot of the women that I work with, I'm waiting on God. No, sis, God is waiting on you. Like, he's already told you, you have the tools, you have the resources. I'm here. You have what it takes.
Yeah.
But you have to move.
Yeah. Do you think sometimes when they don't move, they're just scared?
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear.
It's just fear. Yeah.
Some people fear success.
Yeah. You're right. Some people feel like, when stuff start being too good, they get real scared.
Yeah.
Like, wait. And they look for stuff to self-sabotage the moment.
To go wrong.
And unless you're around people that are always in abundance cycle and know that there's good in everything, and you just got to find it. You got to pull it down.
See, that's the key. That's the key right there. It's who's around you. Who are you around? Who's around you? Because if you are around people that's going to agree with your sabotage, what are you going to get from that?
That's right.
If every time you get on the phone and you're complaining and you're talking to people who are going to amen that, you're going to keep getting the same thing.
That's right.
But if you call me, okay, now what are you going to do about it? I hear what you're saying.
Let me walk it out.
I understand what you're saying. Trust me, I've been there. I know. Yeah. And even if because I'm not perfect, there are some days I want to just throw in the towel, be like, God, okay, never mind. That's okay.
Yeah.
But then I can get on the phone and call a you. It may not be you, but I have a you in my life. Yeah. And someone who's going to say, okay, sis, let's reevaluate this. So you're saying you were experiencing this hardship. God could be speaking to you through that hardship and trying to get a message to you. So it's all about who you are around. Do you have people around you that can see past where you are?
Right.
Because sometimes when we are in a particular season, we need people around us who can help say, well, here's what I see. Try this.
That's good.
Try this and come back and let me know how that works.
That's good.
God will speak through people to help you get a message through, to pull you or push you or
That's true.
Get you in motion.
That's true. I just spoke about that because people have the tendency of saying a lot when somebody asks them how things are going. They're quick to say, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
This is automatic. But you really ain't good, though. Right?
Most people who say that ain't not really good.
Not really good.
When it come out like that, I'm good.
You're not good. You ain't even stay in the presence to figure out what is it that you really are, So listen, this was good. This was really good. I thank you for coming on today and sharing your light with the people. Because listen, God need more of us out here pushing people over the darkness, over all the circumstances. Yeah. And your life is a living proof of refinement, God's promises, clarity, as you continue to answer to his call and keep him first. And he added everything else underneath, all the things unto you. So that is good. That is good. I always like to close and ask, what 225 moment, which is 225 stands for God's restoration power. What 225 moment would you give the audience as to what they can take away and just know that God is still a God of restoration from today?
Well, thank you again for having me. I totally believe in your vision. Joel 2:25 through 26 has been a scripture I've been standing on all year, and I totally believe in full restoration.
Yes.
And the 225 moment that I would give our viewers is to stand in your truth. Stand in your truth, believing who God says you are. Because you can do all things through Christ who gives you the strength. It's not you. You cannot do it in your own ability. Standing on the promises of God, meaning I study his word. I know how to apply it to my life. And because I apply God's word to my life, I believe that the promises for me are yes and amen. They come alive. They are being made manifest in my life for God's glory. And I will be able to testify of the goodness of the Lord through action, through seeing results in my life.
That's good. Good movement. Good movement. That's all you've been doing. Oh, listen, since I know you, you've been good movement. So I am, again, so happy that you came on today. Listen, I pray that today's episode blessed you. If it blessed you, send this to someone, a friend, a family member, because you never know. It might be the word that they need to bless their life. And I would just tell you, if you haven't done it already, to like, comment, and subscribe to this channel. You'll find more stories just like this. 225 Moments with me, MNicole, is on iHeartRadio, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere where you listen to your podcast, you will find us there. Thank you so much for being here. And again, thanks for watching.